We welcome you to another Sunday School lesson. Sunday School is a gift from God. Life is a process of trading one thing for another. We're all given a certain amount of time and ability which we exchange to gain other things, such as money, food, shelter, relationships, and pleasure. The scary thing is, it's easy to squander away your life, exchanging your time and abilities for things that really don't matter, or even worse, for things that cause you and others great harm. For example, a man decides to trade family time for business success. He loses his wife and children. Bad bargain. Every day we trade our life, our soul for something. The question is, for what? If you trade it in for fleeting pleasure, to gratify your immediate needs, you'll come up empty. But if you trade your life to fulfill God's purpose, you'll be satisfied with that which no one can take from you. Today we have the story of a man who traded his soul for fleeting pleasure. He sold his birthright and spiritual blessings as well, for a bowl of soup. He didn't have a second thought about what he had done. It felt good, and only much later did he come to regret it. Let's now learn how it happened. Our first verse says, "This is the account of the family line of Abraham's son Isaac." Abraham became the father of Isaac. Abraham, patriarch of what will become Israel, has one legitimate son, Isaac. This verse initiates a transition into a new chapter of Hebrew life. Here it introduces the account of Isaac's life, which will also include the lives of Jacob and Esau, Isaac's sons. Verse 20 says, "And Isaac was 40 years old when he married Rebekah, daughter of Bethuel, the Aramean from Paddan Aram, and sister of Laban the Aramean." Isaac was 40 years old when he married Rebekah, an advanced age for the marriage of the son of a prominent man. Paddan Aram is a region in the vicinity of Haran in Mesopotamia, perhaps 150 miles northeast of Canaan. This verse tells us that Rebekah was from Paddan Aram. Verse 21 says, "Isaac prayed to the Lord on behalf of his wife, because she was childless. The Lord answered his prayer, and his wife Rebekah became pregnant." Rebekah feels isolated in this new land, and is shamefully barren. A woman to be childless in that culture is to be incapable of performing her primary function, bearing children. She has a husband who loves her, that is something. And her husband prays for her. Verse 22 says, "The babies jostled each other within her, and she said, 'Why is this happening to me?' So she went to inquire of the Lord. The Lord answers Isaac's prayer, twice over. Rebekah is pregnant with twins. The unborn were jostling each other, suggesting a fierce, violent sort of struggle. Rebekah's concern here has to do with issues beyond her physical discomfort. Is something wrong with the babies? Will she deliver them alive? Will she survive the delivery? She prayed to God for help. Verse 23 says, "The Lord said to her, 'Two nations are in your womb, and two peoples from within you will be separated, one people will be stronger than the other, and the older will serve the younger.'" God informs Rebekah that she will be the mother, not only of two children, but of two nations. Furthermore, these nations shall be divided, which suggests that the struggles in her womb will be typical of their relationship throughout their lives. Rebekah was right to be concerned. However, this word from God offers at least some reassurance. It is contrary to conventional practice for the elder to serve the younger. In the end this will be the case. Edom will be the nation descended from Esau, and Israel will be the nation from Jacob. God will regard Israel as his firstborn, so that is the primary way that the prophecy that the elder will serve the younger will be realized. Verse 24 says, "When the time came for her to give birth, there were twin boys in her womb." The first part of the prophecy of verse 23 is fulfilled. Verse 25 says, "The first to come out was red, and his whole body was like a hairy garment, so they named him Esau." Esau is the first of the twins to be delivered from the womb. Esau is hairy, which will be important in the story where Jacob steals Esau's blessing. The birth itself is an acted prophecy of the future. Esau comes out first, red and hairy, thus the name Esau. Verse 26 says, after this, his brother came out, with his hand grasping Esau's heel, so he was named Jacob. Isaac was 60 years old when Rebekah gave birth to them. Jacob follows his brother right away. His tiny hand grips his brother's heel as they pull Esau out, and they have to pry his little fingers off to free Esau. Jacob is born second, but he is grasping to be first from the earliest moments of his life. They name him Jacob, which means, he grasps the heel, or figuratively, he deceives. Gripping the heel suggests deviousness, and Jacob will indeed be devious. Isaac was 40 years old when he married Rebekah, so this couple experienced 20 barren years before Rebekah delivered these twin boys. Verse 27 says, the boys grew up, and Esau became a skillful hunter, a man of the open country, while Jacob was content to stay at home among the tents. Esau is a hairy outdoorsman, a skillful hunter, a man of the field. Esau loves the out-of-doors, like his dad, and they would go hunting together. Jacob is just the opposite. He stays around the tents. He and his mother Rebekah grow close, and she helps him understand something of his destiny. No doubt, she tells him of the prophecy that he will rule over his brother. She implants the idea, reinforces it, and, as we'll see, pushes him to fulfill it. Verse 28 says, Isaac, who had a taste for wild game, loved Esau, but Rebekah loved Jacob. Parents ought not to take sides, to prefer one child over the other, but many do. These things happen in families. Isaac loves Esau. Fathers want strong sons, and Esau is the archetypal manly man. It seems natural for Isaac to prefer Esau. We aren't told why Rebekah loves Jacob, but we can make an educated guess. While Esau is in the field hunting, Jacob spends time in the tent with his mother, and Rebekah enjoys his company. Jacob enjoys the company of quiet men like himself, and he is comfortable being around women as well. It seems natural for Rebekah to prefer Jacob. Verse 29 says, once when Jacob was cooking some stew, Esau came in from the open country, famished. As we will see in verse 34, this is a lentil stew. Lentils are legumes, like peas or beans. Perhaps Jacob has raised these lentils in a vegetable garden. We have heard that Esau is a skillful hunter, but he has apparently failed to bag any game on this hunting trip. Otherwise he would have built a fire and roasted meat to satisfy his hunger, or he would have offered to trade Jacob meat for lentil stew. Verse 30 says, he said to Jacob, quick, let me have some of that red stew. I'm famished. That is why he was also called Edom. Esau came out of the womb red. Now he asks for that same red stew. Stew is modified by the adjective red, also Edom. The latter is the same word used to describe the redness of Esau at birth. Both words, pottage and red, consist in the Hebrew letters DM, the same letters in Edom, the people embodied in Esau. Thus the word Edom red pottage cleverly asserts that Esau is a man peculiarly destined for soup and not anything more. Verse 31 says, Jacob replied, first sell me your birthright. This is Jacob's opportunity. The birthright involved the legal rights of the firstborn to a double portion of the inheritance, plus leadership of the family or clan when the father died. Esau, the firstborn, is destined to rule over Jacob all his life, unless he is foolish enough to part with his legal rights. While Isaac favors Esau, Jacob was dreaming of a way to get the birthright for himself. This was a premeditated idea, and when he got a chance, he utilized it. To be fair, you have to give Jacob credit, at least the thing he desired was worth having, but the way he got it was at the very least unbrotherly. He took advantage of Esau's weakness to get from him something he couldn't have obtained any other way. Verse 32 says, Look, I am about to die, Esau said. What good is the birthright to me? If Esau is truly about to die, his comment makes sense. a birthright would be of no value to a dead man. But we should not take Esau's statement as fact. Esau is uncomfortable and exaggerates the significance of his hunger. Esau's response shows that he cares only for the present, that he is unwilling to delay gratification in favor of building a solid foundation for the future. It also tells us that his sense of priorities is stunted, that he overvalues present comforts and undervalues substantial privileges. Verse 33 says, "But Jacob said, 'Swear to me first.' So he swore an oath to him, selling his birthright to Jacob. Jacob requires an oath, so Esau gives him an oath. His only concern at present is the hunger in his belly. The future seems distant and the birthright unimportant, so Esau willingly enters into this foolish bargain to sell his birthright to Jacob. Jacob's motives are not pure, of course. Esau accuses him of deceiving, though Jacob isn't guilty of deception, this time. Instead, Jacob takes advantage of Esau's weakness. In a weak moment he extracts from his brother a binding promise. Verse 34 says, "Then Jacob gave Esau some bread and some lentil stew. He ate and drank, and then got up and left." So Esau despised his birthright. With Esau's oath in hand, Jacob honors his part of the bargain by giving Esau bread and lentil stew. Lentil stew is a common phrase to describe something of small value. Esau seems never to waver in his carelessness. These four quick verbs rendered in quick succession, ate, drank, got up, and left, speak volumes about his character. Esau undervalued his birthright. By this incident the author implies that Esau's decision regarding his religious heritage disqualified him to succeed his father. Though Esau sells his birthright on the spur of the moment in a casual setting, it seems to have been considered binding. Neither Esau nor Isaac seem to question that Jacob has indeed obtained the birthright. This incident says a lot about one's values. Esau values soup more than the birthright, while Jacob values the birthright more than his own integrity. Key verse. "The Lord said to her, 'Two nations are in your womb, and two peoples from within you will be separated, one people will be stronger than the other, and the older will serve the younger.'" Genesis 25:23. Rebekah was concerned about her condition as well as the condition of her babies. She had no doctor or diagnostics for scan, so she took the matter directly to the Lord. God tells her that this is just the beginning. These two boys will struggle and be divided all their lives, and their offspring after them will be divided into two separate nations. Two nations, one stronger, older to serve younger. Let us hold fast to these important lessons from Esau and Jacob. 1. You can lose great blessings if you do not appreciate them. Esau was born into a situation with great blessings. He was the son of Isaac and Rebekah, grandson of Abraham, the friend of God. No doubt, during the first 15 years of Esau's life, while Abraham was alive, his grandfather had taught him about God and his covenant promises. Surely that teaching had been reinforced by Isaac and Rebekah. Esau had great spiritual privileges. But he threw them away because he didn't appreciate them. 2. Small choices can have drastic consequences. Warning signs don't always flash. On the surface, it doesn't seem like a big deal. But it's a critical moment, and your decision can shape the rest of your life. Maybe it's an offer from a friend to try drugs. It may be a chance to make a lot of money in a wrong way. Often, you've got to make a quick decision. The decision you make may turn around and make or break you. 3. It's easy to consider some things as essential when they really are not. Esau thought that he needed food. That sounds like an essential need, but it isn't. His essential need was to obey God and seek His purpose. Esau mistook as essential that which really was not, and he shrugged off as not essential that which really is. Spiritual matters were nice, but not necessary, for Esau. So he traded his soul for a bowl of soup. 4. It's easy to grab the right things for the wrong reasons and in the wrong way. Here we focus from Esau to Jacob. Jacob was right to want the birthright. He was wrong to want the birthright for the personal advantages it would bring him, and he was wrong to take it in the way he did. Even though it was God's will for Jacob ultimately to have the blessings of the birthright, he grabbed it in the wrong way, by taking advantage of his brother. Thought to remember. Live for the master, not for the moment. Living for the moment means that your awareness is completely centered on the here and now. You are not worrying about the future or thinking about the past. When you live for the master, you are living life for the future, a life with the Lord Almighty. Our lesson next week is entitled, Jacob's Deception. Our biblical reference is Genesis 27:5-10, 18, 19, 21-29. We are truly glad you spent time to learn this week's lesson with us. We hope you are blessed and may share these with somebody else. We wish you can join us at the Cubao Church of Christ soon. Our congregation is a place to discover faith, find new friends, grow closer relationship with Christ and serve with each other's gifts. Thank you very much, have a great week, and God bless you always, dear brothers and sisters.